left the Aphelios up when they had the option to take it themselves. They did not elect to remove it. So similar things already, but it is Origen taking away the Zai. I think that is a very good first rotation pick over on the red side for Schalke in this type of draft. You immediately see that both sides see how much firepower is down in the bot lane in the draft with these two players, as well as in the meta.
And it's so many questions, and especially when we look on the Origen side as well, because Destiny, so far we've only seen him on the Rakan. It was a breakout performance, but can we see something similar if he's forced onto a different champion? And with the Xayah now taken away, obviously the Rakan is going to drop a certain amount in priority.
Definitely will here. Now, it's always interesting on these first few patches what people decide to take off the table, because now that we have 2 AD carries gone, like that Senna is something I'm immediately looking at, and if you are going to leave these power picks open, you must have counters ready and prepared to take them down. It will be Xerxe on this Gragas. This is a pick he took yesterday as well. Xerxe has always been one of these junglers that's less about just, putting, the pedal to the metal in the early game and looking for heavy early game ganks. It was actually something I was maybe curious about, how he adapted to the new jungle patch. And very much yesterday, it was all about farming heavy and tracking the enemy jungler as opposed to getting off and making ganks happen himself.
And interesting now because we see the response from Schalke, but as there is no AD carry locked in on the opposite side, it feels like they don't see any reason to lock in one of their own. So instead, they're going to get Braum, their priority support, as well as the Elise as an answer to the Gragas. Huge shift from what we saw yesterday, where it felt like early pick AD carries were everything.
Yeah, we definitely want to see Gilius attack in the early game against this Gragas. But as you mentioned, the Braum 2, very good counter. He can sort of block any sort of Gragas cask coming through. Now, this will mean that Origen can take strong counter picks themselves, because we saw in yesterday's game against Fnatic, where there was, of course, that Braum in the game. Origen decided, hey, we're going to take the Gangplank. We're going to take these long-range engaged champions that you cannot block even with that Unbreakable, and could see Alphari return to that too if it's not banned away by Schalke.
But it'll be interesting to see now if Schalke are just going to go straight into the Misfortune with the Braum on their side. Obviously limits a lot of the counter options available to kind of stop the bullet time from wreaking havoc on the back line of the enemy team. But with Nautilus and Senna, that's just such a powerful bot lane. There's so much kill pressure. Nautilus ult going to guarantee a clean fall from Senna, and that's more than enough to take out just about any champion. But when it comes to early firepower, Varus would be a solid choice. We're going to have to see where Forgiven wants to go. It will be the Varus in the end.
Okay, nice to see him again on one of these high DPS marksmen in the bottom lane. Not the lethality users that we've seen maybe a Misfortune go for in the past with a Senna nowadays, but instead just high DPS and more pick potential next to this Elise. Now, one thing that I think Schalke should be looking for as they, look forward in their draft is dive options against the Senna. Because Senna amasses such an incredible amount of range over the game, collecting those souls throughout the match, you need to be able to close the gap against her. And right now, you have a Varus and a Braum that mainly want to kite back in fights. Elise, even though she has a lot of damage, can't really dive in the full 5v5s. So that's where you need a pick like a LeBlanc, perhaps, to get into the enemy backlines, or a strong top lane flanker to be able to get around and give upset hell.
And very nice that Schalke have the luxury of red side, so they will be able to counterpick mid lane as well, which opens up a lot of those picks, a lot of those options to have those favorable lane matchups. With the Pantheon banned away, first time we saw it was in the previous game in the hands of Mickey. Felt solid, felt like a pretty good pick overall. But the Yasuo, I like that Schalke have taken away both of the wall options in the game. They got the Braum themselves, taken away the Yasuo. They say, hey, Alphari, we love what you did on that GP yesterday. Never again. Ban that one too.
Yep, make sure that there isn't that, flank option, with that long-range engage that can't be blocked by the Braum wall like we talked about earlier. Now, what I am looking at for them is maybe a flexible solo lane pick here. The Mordekaiser, of course, hasn't been banned away so far in this draft. Could be something they look for, but when you see a Varus and an Elise, that's a lot of magic damage already. Varus getting a ton, especially when he goes for the on-hit build, which of course is the most prevalent one in this day and age. So they probably need more physical damage, either from Abbedagge or Odo.
I do like Origen's final ban here, taking the Ornn away, seeing that the enemy team has the Braum, the Yasuo banned as well. So options to stop the Call of the Forge God off the table means they don't want to deal with one of the kind of the easiest, safest blind pick top laners. Instead, we're going to get the Odoamne Renekton. Now, this champion, much less oppressive since the removal of Spear of Trojan, thank God. But not sure what to think of it in the current meta.
Have you ever heard of Elise plus Renekton tower dives in the early game, Drakos?
Oh, wow.
I think one or two people have said that over the course of League of Legends history, but this is a situation where Alphari has to say, you know, am I playing weak side of the map? This is something he was known for so long. And against the Gnar, can bully out the Renekton with a ranged advantage, but in the 2v2, this is definitely in the favor of Schalke.
And very difficult, I imagine. If that Renekton ever gets on top of the Gnar in mini form, nigh impossible to come out on top in the 1v1, but Alphari had a fantastic performance yesterday, and we'll see if it's going to work. But that is a lock-in on the LeBlanc. You can see it on your screen now, but you can't see it on the bar below. Destiny has locked in the LeBlanc for Nukeduck. He's looking for the run back after his performance yesterday. Won't have the luxury of the counter pick, but obviously very successful on that champion and wants to repeat it.
LeBlanc's just so tricky. She can go invisible in game. She can do it in Champ Select too. I've seen a couple, you know, mimics throughout the last couple Champ Selects over the last 2 days.
I like this. This is a creative way to explain technical difficulty.
See, there it is. Oh. It's a Nico. There's 2 Nautilus.
The Nautilus in the mid lane is a LeBlanc. You can trust, if you're in this audience, trust the pictures behind the players. We'll get that figured out in the future. But it is the Ryze now picked up for Abbedagge. And okay, look, we've talked a lot about Abbedagge, and I want to hit him more because we said his biggest enemy was, you know, mid lane tier 1 tower. Dived a lot. Yesterday, he popped off. Oh yeah, such a fantastic individual performance up against Mickey in the mid lane. Want to see if he can repeat it against Nukeduck, which I think might just be a little bit harder in this game.
Yeah, this is a game where there's a lot of faith being put in Abbedagge, you know, similar to the Cassiopeia. Ryze, very high DPS mage in the middle lane. There is option, you know, with the Elise to look for skirmishes around this middle lane, but especially the later on we get into the match, we know that Ryze wants to leave that mid lane, look to use the Realm Warp into side lanes. Paired up next to an Elise, there's very strong turret diving potential, and I remain concerned about Alphari in the top lane on this Gnar, whether or not he can withstand the brute force of Schalke.
How much are they willing to put on the top side? It's been clearly telegraphed with that Elise, but the mind games begin now as we load into our game. Are they going to go for the standard, the Renekton Elise tower dive, or will we see them mix it up and use those, you know, kind of combinations against the side of Origen? We're going to have to find out as we gear up for Schalke versus Origen in our 3rd match of the day. Oh, I love to hear it. A miscasting in front of this crowd. Ender, here we go. OG versus Schalke, plus a car on your screen. Obviously, both are going to be PLL Esports. That one, I hadn't seen that one yet. That one caught me off guard. All right, here we go. There's a Braum. We could talk about level 1s. We could talk about mid lane. We could talk about how you talked about diving a lot early, roaming a lot early. Where's your heart at, Ender?
All right, so I want to track these junglers in the early game. Surprise, surprise, Drakos. I'm talking about the junglers. I know. It's crazy. But here's the thing, right? Xerxe loves to track junglers in the early game, right? So you expect Elise wants to finish on the top side of the map, which is why things are getting interesting, because with a Braum on your side of Schalke, you do have level 1 invade potential. That is why I was getting a little bit worried with him positioning up towards the top side. So my anticipation is that Gilius starts blue side, ends up towards his red buff, and that Gilius wants to mirror that. So start on the bottom side himself too, so he can be top side when Odo is looking to potentially stack a wave up against Alphari to look for a dive.
A lot of aggressive trading there in the mid lane, of course. Because like Abbedagge, maybe not coming out on top, has the phase rush as opposed to the electrocute of Nukeduck, so not quite as much early damage, but both players clearly keen to get the laning phase kicked off. Minions weren't really even there by the time they started trading. And now we do have the leash. No leash actually for Gilius, as Forgiven and Dreams are just going to go straight for the lane priority. Want to limit a little bit of what Upset and Destiny can do in this bottom lane.
Yeah, so at the same time, Gilius going to be hiding his start right now. Of course, you can anticipate, I think Xerxe should expect him to be down here on this blue buff, which is why Xerxe skipping his Krugs entirely at the start of this one. This is something that you would have never seen him do in 2019, but he wants to make sure he can be over towards the top side of the map, probably Wolves plus blue buff, to hit level 3 and then defend against Gilius.
And Ender, I love what I'm seeing. Nukeduck and Abbedagge trading to 50% health before Abbedagge even hits level 2. It's a similar story on top side between Alphari and Odoamne. And this is what you want to see, because yesterday when Origen played, it was slow, it was controlled, it was kind of calculated. Fnatic were really the aggressor, but it seems like today both teams are willing to get things kicked off.
I like it when people fight. That's what I like to see, and I'm gonna really like to see Alphari fight when he goes into Mega, because that's a segue, and Alphari got some big buffs to the Gnar on patch 924. We're talking bonus damage on his Boulder Toss Q in Mega form, as well as his Wallop too. So that just means he's going to fight better against Odo when they are in melee form. You can see Alphari is also rocking the Conqueror too, so we'll be able to stack up and go for longer fights.
Oh, but now Gilius invading. So Elise not going to lay down any vision, not going to see this. Xerxe now hitting level 3, balances out the fight, but of course, if Elise lands the cocoon first, becomes very Elise favored. Gilius, it seems like, not quite sure where to go.
See, this is Xerxe mind gaming, because he knows that Odo's
body slam flash, that's going to be 3 stacks, it's Hyper on his first blood, and now Nukeduck's going in 2. He says, I want a little piece of the action. He's burning, he's burning, he's burning, he's fine, just 1 kill in the favor of OG.
Look, this is why Xerxe is one of the best junglers in the LEC. I love to see it out of him. That was a... blind.
That was he was going for it. He was risking it.
Into the bush, see if he can make it happen. Gilius is going to pick up both crabs, but this was so good from Xerxe because he wasn't even necessarily looking for that gank in the top lane. He just knew that Alphari's wave was pushing away from him, that Alphari was vulnerable to a gank, and was able to pull that off when Odo went way too over-aggressive, thinking that he was safe, because Gilius had just walked into the topside jungle, and Xerxe's camps are down, so it makes sense that Xerxe started up there and went down to the bottom, but they lost track of the fact that they knew Upset and Destiny had leashed for Xerxe, and that's how Odo gets killed.
And I love it because the thing we talked about is where's Elise going to die? Which lane is Elise going to shut down? And already 2 lanes with massive advantages in the favor of OG, and those options, those windows of opportunity are going to start to feel less and less frequent for Gilius and the side of Schalke. So really just fantastic start. 500 gold really does not show how much of an advantage this is for Origen.
Abbedagge, rather, able to walk in and place that pretty deep ward. This is going to be important for them, because again, now Xerxe's already gotten that first blood in an early game matchup that was not supposed to be favorable for him. It's a big trade top lane, actually.
Fighting in the wave, not too bad for Renekton. Obviously gets the extra healing off Cold and Meek, but the leap forward, the wall going to be dodged out. Alphari gets the wrong toss. That's so close overall. Has the extra Dorans, will have a bit of sustain, but Odoamne holding onto that rage, knowing he can instantly heal up off the wave. It will force Alphari to back away.
I don't know if he saw Odo's shadow or something, but that Q was not even close, Drakos.
He was predicting. It would have been a Reddit highlight if he hit it. He took the risk, and instead it just goes on as a meh moment in the history of Alphari.
I do like this look from Gilius. Look how this wave, a lot of ranged minions stacked up for Nukeduck, so trying to push it back, but then Abbedagge clears the entire wave. They decide we don't want the gank instead, and now Abbedagge will be pushed up a little bit without a jungler.
And as we check in across the map, top lane obviously going fine for the Gnar. Range working out once Renekton hits level 6 is going to be a pretty big deal, but the Cole now comes in for Alphari. He's just looking to maximize gold as well as add a bit more sustain. Knowing that as long as he's at full health, it's actually pretty hard for Renekton on this patch to 100 to 0 him without any additional support. And Xerxe covering, taking away the Blast Cone, laying down a little bit of vision, making sure that Alphari is still safe.
Xerxe constantly getting around Gilius right here, stealing away the Raptors. Alphari has flash, so he should be able to dodge this one away.
Odoamne can get the setup here, though. Alphari, he can bounce across minions. He's going to double bounce. Gilius going to come out. Cocoon will connect. Odoamne double dash through. The stun follow-up is there, but the flash away will take Alphari to safety. Going up, coming down. Xerxe with the Predator active. He's going to go for Gilius now, knowing that he's already used the repel. Gilius now in trouble. The auto's coming through. Boomerang! It goes just short, and now Odoamne's in the thick of things, but the Mega Gnar is coming in. They have to be careful. Dreams is on the way. The Q flash forward. Xerxe's going to go down here. Alphari, he doesn't want to turn. He doesn't want to risk it. Dreams stepping forward. Concussive blows are not going to get proc, but that was an excellent roam from the Schalke support.
That roam from Dreams, he just walks the entire way.
How did he hit that? Right through the minion wave, but no, still Nukeduck not going to connect on the snare, but action after action here in the midst of OG versus Schalke.
It is just not slowing down at all, Nukeduck!
That's an ignite. I don't think he's getting away from this one. There's no Guardian, and there's no more life for Abbedagge.
Nukeduck out for blood right here. That's the second time he tries to go for the kill underneath the tower. This time the ignite is able to burn him down. And now Forgiven stuck in the bot lane without his support. He can't even farm the wave.
And now we take a look back at this one, and you respect the effort here. They get the flash. It looks like it's starting so well, but here comes Xerxe.
Yeah, Xerxe comes around, and this is good, right? Because as you said, Repel is down for Gilius, but Gilius still has flash, and then it is Odo. Body blocks the Q, so it doesn't actually hit Gilius. Would have certainly been the kill. And if you were tracking Dreams that entire fight, he started off looking like he was wanting to roam towards the mid lane, but the second they see that gank go down and Xerxe look for the flank around, he immediately repassed into topside.
Here we go. Oh no, Abbedagge! Oh. It was clean. When I saw it the first time, I thought it was one of those questionable hooks where it looks like a minion stepped out of the way mysteriously at the last second, but no, that was clean right through the minions.
Now Abbedagge thinks he has a support coming, but does not respect the damage and definitely doesn't see it.
He's praying for Guardian. He's like, please, 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 but nope. Already used on the top side of the map. Abbedagge will pick up the blue buff. And the interesting thing is, when we talked about this matchup, when we talked about these two teams, of course, everyone was excited for Forgiven versus Upset. And look, if you want to watch them 1v1, you can, because their supports have left and all they're doing is farming bot lane, because the only part of the map that seems to matter for both these lineups is the top side.
Well, Xerxe is level 6, so he wants to fight right now, especially if they get their eyes on Gilius that's only level 5. Destiny's here too, and Abbedagge lost his flash in the last trade. This is really good wave manipulation by Nukeduck. You see how he just keeps the minion wave right in front of his tower. There's no chance for Abbedagge, a short-range mage in this Ryze, to step up and wave clear. He needs time to be able to burst that wave down, so he's just going to end up getting denied a ton.
Ooh, but the swap now coming in, and I love this. Forgiven on the top side. This will guarantee the Herald as they have the man advantage here. Really no way to contest Alphari. If he sniffs this one out, will be fine, but has to be careful. That's the lockdown. Dreams, they're going to be able to get the follow-up. 2, 3, and 4 on the concussive blows. Mega will not come in time. Alphari trying to bounce to safety, but that's another kill for Schalke.
This is an uncharacteristic mistake from Alphari, though. So typically heralded as being a very strong weak side player, but it is once again the roams of Dreams alongside Forgiven who lands that Chains of Corruption, and now it's Oji sort of on the back foot. They were pushing first down towards bot side, but
Xerxe gets come out on top. It wasn't that important. I just wanted to shout Smite Battle.
Gilius, for Gilius, it's important, okay? That is a matter of pride.
Another Smite to not Gilius, but has the Herald on the top side. A lot of plays going to be dropping down. Gilius stepping away even to make sure the gold doesn't go to him. Abbedagge trying to get some fancy footwork. That's the phase rush. The side steps. It's looking clean. The realm warp, what CC does he have left? But Abbedagge now has to run for the hills. But here comes Dreams. They can't commit. Gilius coming down as well, and Abbedagge will live to see another day. Some fancy footwork from the Ryze on the side of Schalke.
Yeah, he was just untouchable right there, and it felt like OG were holding all those spells, playing it really well. You know, Nukeduck was trying to get him to juke in towards Xerxe, but then he just does the loop-de-loop and is completely untouched. That means Schalke also get this tower on top of it, and OG had recalled bot side, so they only pick up 1 turret plate in the process. Well, the overall gold remains pretty similar because of some CS leads, I believe, in the jungle and mid lane especially. That is a little bit of a blow for them for sure.
And you can see the gold difference there between the respective top laners, despite, you know, what felt like a very positive start for Alphari. Odoamne is starting to kind of bring it back in. 11 CS advantage from Alphari. And Forgiven's just going to swap again. They just do not want to leave Renekton in this situation. Upset and Destiny going to find out very quickly that there might be a top laner headed their way, but Forgiven is just another jungler at this point in the game. He does not want to sit in the lane and do nothing. This man is trying to find some kills, but he will be spotted on the ward, and now Nukeduck has to run for the hill. Dreams coming in once again. That one was a little wide. We'll call it a miss, but Nukeduck, that was incredible. Leaps forward. Dreams going to get taken down as well in an instant. Hope fades away for Schalke.
But there's a huge difference right now in how the jungle support coordination is working between these two teams, because I see Dreams doing a lot of good stuff on his own and reacting to plays that Gilius makes. But right there, it is Dreams, a Braum solo ganking in the mid lane while Gilius is in his own jungle. Meanwhile, it is Xerxe and Destiny. Look at them. They're literally hugging each other as they walk around this map. They're inseparable, and that means you're going to win basically any fight you take as that power duo.
And it's crazy how now that the supports have been free to roam, how much more action we're seeing. Still, you have the AD carries kind of just farming it out. Haven't, honestly, outside of Forgiven's play on the top side, really been too much a part of the action that we've been seeing. But it is a back and forth game. Nukeduck taking off in the mid lane, but the rest of Schalke is still trading blows across the map. However, you're right, Ender. I think they need to clean up a little bit of this coordination, because OG so far has just been moving better.
There's also just been these control wards sitting underneath mid lane for the side of OG pretty much the entire game that Schalke have not actually bothered to clear away, which has made it really difficult for Abbedagge to play. Now, as the Dragon gets started up, once again, it's 5 members of OG in the area.
Doc going to be able to grab that one. Nukeduck, of course, on the flank, has to be respected, has the necessary vision to harass here, and Gilius has to be very careful. That is a level 6, no MR Elise. If Repel is down, Gilius gets one shot. Challenging Smite might be the only thing that saves him from this Nukeduck. This LeBlanc, Nukeduck. Same thing, similar, same thing. We'll call it the same thing.
But Gilius definitely not feeling too great this game. Just at 12.5 minutes, finished off his jungle item. He's level 6, while the solo laners are level 9. He's 2 levels underneath an AD carry, who's usually share lane experience, but this is going to be a game where AD carries are abnormally highly leveled, just because their supports have not been near them pretty much at all.
Yeah.
They've just been gone.
Level 8. Obviously, it's gonna add up more as we go further, but slight XP advantage for now. Nukeduck gonna grab a bit of mana there off the Honey Fruit. Cloud Drake for the second spawn, so we'll have a Mountain or an Infernal Rift. Gilius. Here comes Predator. It will never not be funny seeing Gragas start zooming across the map.
Especially after the walk animation change. Like, his belly is really pushed out there.
He's ready. The belly first kind of guy, you know? Sumo specialist.
Well, Forgiven and Dreams playing this one pretty well, but again, this goes back to old problems for Schalke. We were talking about the control wards around mid lane. Now that is extended to the entire river. And something we were touching on in draft was actually that Schalke would like to dive some towers. You know, you have an Elise, you have a Ryze that wants to use that Realm Warp to get around the lane, and now Abbedagge is going up top.
There we go. Finally seeing the roam come in from Abbedagge. The fight kicking off. Alphari going to try to find a different way out. Mega, it can help him turn this fight. Did not connect on the boomerang, though. We'll get the speed boost off the Hyper, but that's going to be a decent cooldown to be missing. And now Nukeduck moving up to turn. Wants to use Alphari as some, well, tasty bait, quite frankly. And Abbedagge, he looks like a hungry boy.
Don't do it. Don't do it, man. Come on.
Is he going to take the tasty bait?
Okay.
He will not take the bait. They are going to make it out safely. Operation Save Private Alphari has been successful.
But that is a big cooldown blown, right? From Abbedagge. It's going to be a couple more minutes before that one comes back. And once again, it is a player from Schalke trying to make a play in a side lane while Gilius is not with them. And that meant that Nukeduck's roam up to the top side was able to stop the play entirely because they could not chase because they did not have a numbers advantage.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why anyone would want to pay so much attention to Alphari, it's because he had probably the most disgusting gangplank performance of all time. This man was an absolute monster, and while they did take that away, shutting down this guy in the game has to be proven to be quite strong. And on the opposite side, while we did see a very strong lane performance from Odoamne, obviously solo killing expect, building a good CS lead, building a good gold lead for himself, it didn't transition into anything else. So now I've got my eyes on Odo to see what he does as we get later and later into this game, as we get out of this lane phase, and see if he can make this Renekton feel really impactful.
Yeah, and that's sort of my concern for it, because I was expecting him to already have a lead coming out of this play. And yes, he's put there have been some resources put into him, but it's dead even in CS. They didn't actually make those repeat plays onto the Gnar like I was maybe expecting here. And as we know, especially versus champions like a Senna, a Nautilus, tons of CC over on the Origen side, it can be really difficult for Odoamne to have an impact in teamfight just because he gets kited out. So he's going to need to be able to come in on a flank to stop that one.
Xerxe throwing his weight around the bottom lane. We'll try to get them to back off, but Forgiven and Dreams is very aggressive here. Nukeduck going to take half the health. The flash over the hook, the fall of Destiny, not afraid. That's a little bit of oceanic aggro, and you love to see it. The TP now in the mid lane.
Whoa!
He was looking for the fall, but he's not going to connect with Coon. That could be a disaster. Stopwatch buys a brief second here, but now Odoamne is going to be the one in trouble. Another chain going to lock him down. The Crocodile getting sent right back home.
I just love this control around the mid lane that Origen continue to have. That control where they've just been owning that bush with the ward over the wall, so Nukeduck is so easily able to hop on over there and punch Abbedagge in the face again and again and again, and that lead just continues to manifest.
And right before that play, I was going to talk about how the gold lead was so small. It was only a couple hundred difference, but just in an instant it changes, and I love the play here from Nukeduck. Control of the vision, as you mentioned, and then the flash over. Whew, fantastic.
Yep, he gets him. Abbedagge is trying to flash over to his jungler, who then flashes in turn, misses everything. And then Odoamne is out of position. This is the problem once again. You see how Dreams and Forgiven unable to get into this fight because of the control that Origen have and the power of this composition. For Xerxe just chuck out the barrel, not even in the fight, just to knock away the bot lane of Schalke.
And here's the thing, and this is what scares me, Under. If you're on the side of Schalke, Forgiven, you see the gold earned, Forgiven's where he needs to be. He's the carry, he's stacking up, he's getting ready for these team fights. The problem, my dear friends, is that the Elise and the Renekton, the champions who are supposed to dominate the early game, or are supposed to build these leads, are not doing that. And Gilius, as we get later and later, Elise is always going to feel good if she can one-shot a backline member, but Gragas is going to feel good forever because his ult is incredible.
Yeah, he's always going to have value, even though he's also building AP. It's just going to be much bigger and much better the later we move into this one. Now, I like this trade coming out from Origen, taking the Rift Herald. As I believe Frost and Quickshot were talking about earlier on in the day, the base stats you get from a dragon just aren't all that powerful. You really do need to wait until you get the Dragon Soul. So taking especially the second Herald, which gives you so much turret taking power, now Origen's plan is going to be come to mid lane. That's been their plan the entire game, but this time they have an extra friend. After getting the kill, they can drop down the Herald and get the tower, or do it before.
Setting up now. Xerxe there to protect. This is kind of a nice three-man core as both of the side laners split out. Nukeduck far enough ahead that he can be the split-pushing LeBlanc even without a TP. Abbedagge has to be careful, has to respect. The snare will not connect from the Senna. Got a bit of damage here, but Nukeduck just absolutely fearless. As long as he doesn't go into melee range of the Renekton, will always be able to instantly get out of any real exchange.
And as we move forward in this game, Nukeduck's role is just going to look more and more scary in the face of Schalke because they do have a lot of CC tools, but it's like skill shot CC. It's not necessarily immediate, so Nukeduck can go for these very aggressive distortions and be unpunished, right? Abbedagge can't simply press W and stop him. He has to first apply the mark of the E, and it's a longer process, so there's always going to be time for Nukeduck to step on back out of it, and that means leading into any sort of objective fight or siege, Origen will have this poke damage that Nukeduck will be able to lay down first.
Just keeping my eyes on the members that I think are, best equipped at this point. Abbedagge, a lot of tools on a side lane when you're the Ryze. Yes, it's difficult against Nukeduck, but what can he get done? Forgiven. Now ticking over to level 11. Have to check to keep an eye on his itemization. He's got 2 items as well as a stopwatch completed. But the thing is it might be a similar story to yesterday where we saw Reckless be really strong on the Aphelios but not able to get anything done. And I'm wondering if the same thing is going to happen to Forgiven here where OG just does not give Schalke any fights on their terms because they have the tools to disengage with the Gragas, have the tools to get out with, the LeBlanc as well as the Black Mist coming in from Senna.
I think the concern is that there's just a lot of dive, too, on the side of Origen. With the Nautilus hook on forward, he has that through CC where he can just drop that ultimate way into the enemy backline and cause so much disruption. It means that Forgiven is almost always going to be stepping back in fights, and that won't necessarily go well for a Schalke team that decided to draft an Elise as opposed to maybe a jungler like the Gragas that could have fought better in these team fights. The Elise pick did not pay off in the early game, and that's going to be a big problem for Schalke.
And it does start to contextualize why Origen have continuously prioritized a pick like the Gragas in the sea of junglers that are popular right now. Gragas feels like kind of the most good at every stage of the game. Lee Sin strong early, has the kick late game. Elise very strong early, but doesn't transition as well. Jarvan pretty okay everywhere, but just not really as powerful as some of the other picks.
Yeah, I think the problem with a Gragas pick, and it's obviously something Xerxe isn't concerned about, is the fact that a lot of these junglers can bully, right? Gragas isn't supposed to win the 2v2s, isn't supposed to win the 1v1s, especially with Predator, because he goes into every fight without a Keystone Rune, right? But the fact was, Xerxe out-mind-gamed Gilius. He knew the path Gilius was going to take. Heck, I was watching the game and I knew what path Gilius was going to take. Xerxe sneaks around him, gets into the top lane, and then he's able to make this gank happen in a situation where I really don't think he should have been.
Very true. Yeah, anytime we see Renekton versus Gnar, you kind of expect it to go pretty Renekton favored. Abbedagge will port down to the bottom side and will defend this turret as best he can, but the game pace has slowed a bit. This is something we've seen a decent amount over the games. Mid-game, a little bit more of a lull as you don't have nearly as many hyper-aggressive diving champions. The Sennas and the Varus of the world, while they do have nice setup, aren't quite as powerful as the Xayah and the Kai'Sa of worlds.
Yeah, I was getting a little worried here for Abbedagge. That bot lane tower really, really alone with a lot of OG members positioned inside of this river. Thought that there may be a dive on the way, but it seems like they want to go back for some items. Some big purchases coming through.
Of course, you're about to finish the Zhonya's on the side of Xerxe. Sad that he didn't get to use the stopwatch. We're happy, depending on how you look at it. Hasn't had a need to quite yet. As we get later and later, LeBlanc only going to get stronger, more scary, more likely to one-shot some of these champions because it's a level 11 for Xerxe, it's a level 9 for Gilius. So it really is insult to injury. And this is the thing that we've talked about with the new jungle that really sucks. If you're a good jungler and you start to win a matchup, you just keep winning the matchup. And Gilius just now ticking over to level 10 is going to be behind for, well, the rest of this game.
Yeah, it's also unfair for Gilius because now his entire team is going to be asking, hey, can I take your Raptors? Like we just saw Forgiven. As Gilius starts up the Raptors, Forgiven's like, give me that and that and that. And yeah, it all belongs to me.
Just fire and arrows.
That's just what's going to happen.
Look, bud, you're a spider queen. You're fine. You'll figure it out. Oh, Alphari just going to jump over that one. Bit anticlimactic in the end, but Gilius wants to continue to chase, and once again, Dreams is here. This is this kind of the teamwork we were talking about, trying to get Dreams and Gilius on the same page, but does not work out this time around. Will force the flash.
Yeah, so I understand this move from Schalke because Origen very clearly were posturing to get mid control and set up for a dragon in about 5 seconds when it does spawn. Now, though, they're getting inside Schalke's jungle just because they have vision on the enemy team. And Schalke aren't really comfortable to contest this dragon at the moment. They're like, we can go ahead and give that one up, but Abbedagge should not be this far forward.
Abbedagge running. Phase Rush not going to do a lot when you're already chained to the LeBlanc, leaping in, leaping out. Upset comes in with the heal. Marked away. Upset, can he finish him off? The auto not going to complete, but there's the you know right where he's going to go. The Realm Warp tells you why not line it up. Railgun kill coming in for Upset.
Oh, super nicely played there from Upset just to find that last second snipe. And that should be all the setup that Origen need. Nukeduck went back to base and will be returning to the map, but now he should be able to pick up both that bot lane tower and this neutral objective.
Setting up. G going to grab their first dragon of the game. Of course, extra resistances will feel nice for a limited number of people on the team, but if they do manage to get the soul and get that shield, it will make things a lot easier against the burst of the Renekton and the Elise. But honestly, Ender, it's a 3K gold lead. The team that was supposed to kind of, I think, win out on early game on the side of Schalke hasn't been able to do so, and now it feels like Origen's game to lose. If they keep playing slow, if they keep limiting options for Schalke, they are definitely the favorites.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. There are good things going for Schalke, right? You know, you have a really powerful backline duo with the Varus plus Ryze. That's a ton of DPS you can throw out. So if Dreams primarily is able to buy space in the backline, those guys should be able to melt a front line of a Gnar, of a Nautilus. They should be able to cut through those. My concern then comes with all the dive potential of the LeBlanc to chunk them out, to zone them away from these fights. And also the fact that this is a mountain map. Right? So now Alphari has more walls that he can throw Schalke into.
It's so funny because I was going to talk about how Destiny has more walls to block his hooks and how that was going to be a bad thing. But I think you're right. The Gnar might be more important than the not hook as we get later.
Yeah. Not just has more options, you know, to jump to.
Yeah, he can spider knot his way easier. More escape options if you're looking for the positive. And we look at it, so it's interesting. One of the things that we talk a lot about in the offseason is kind of champions, dealing with new champions, interacting with new champions, because you're more balanced because you've been on the playtest team. So when I'm like, this is OP, you're like, okay, wait, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, and
I'm very frequently like, this is OP. So Senna, speaking of, interesting champion, but one of the things that I love this game, Ender, is we talked a lot about how, like, when she's winning lane, she stacks up souls, she's so hard to deal with. But the nice thing about Forgiven and Upset being isolated through the entire laning phase was Upset's not doing great in the terms of the soul department. He's doing okay, but by no means is he pulling ahead. He's not getting a ton, and as we know, those souls are huge as you move later and later.
Yeah, and you also are going to pick up a whole lot of souls off of neutral objectives, off of jungle camps as well. So Origen, who were primarily controlling Rift Heralds throughout the early game, you know, they took both of those, weren't able to actually give them a couple extra right there. And of course, when you are playing the bot lane Senna, not the support Senna, the ADC Senna, you're going to pick up way fewer souls than if you were on the support option.
Destiny waiting in the darkness. Black Mist has been used. Sending the rest of the team on the way in. Just going to heal up, though. Good denial there by Gilius. Lands a cocoon.
This is the other nice thing about Origen's comp. They've got a really beefy front line, you know, tons of utility, tons of tankiness. So they can walk face first into the enemy jungle, put down vision for themselves, set up for some of these neutral objectives. I mean, their vision control is just sublime at the moment. Their entire pink ward line is in the river, and then everything past that is going to be regular old vision. And right now it's just Gilius frantically trying to sweep away, deny some of these wards. But frankly, with some of the clever positions Origen have put them in, Schalke just aren't going to spot them.
I like that OG are pushing in until Schalke commit enough numbers to kind of force them to back off. Then just then are they willing to pull away. Good patience, good play coming through. Is Upset going to stop his back for the soul? No. This man does not care about an additional 1 AD.
So much. No. He's 3 away from getting more range.
Yeah. Do you have any like insight you want to share with people at home? Since there are many, I imagine most people are seeing the champion banned, but if you're like me, you're trying to abuse it every chance you can.
Well,
you know, pull it out.
The more souls you get, the better.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Talk about how 20 souls is important.
All right, yes. So every 20 souls.
There you go. That's the one I was trying to set you up for. Souls are important. Thank you, Ender. Thank you. Who would have thought?
Upset just picked himself up a soul. When you get 20 of those, you get 25 bonus range. You get some extra crit chance. When you exceed crit chance, turn in some lifesteal. You're basically a stat master.
There you go.
The more things you hit, the more stats you get, and then eventually you're a longer range than the enemy tower. And you can hit towers and they can't hit you.
Wholesome 2020 gameplay. Yeah, and this is the tough thing here is I really hate always being in Elise when you're behind, and I think it's just so hard because Gilius now, he's in this position where he doesn't get to itemize more flat magic penetration. He's optimizing itemizing Rylai's for the slow so he can chase people down a little bit more, a little bit less, more health rather, so he doesn't get burst down, and things are difficult. This is the slow chokeout that we saw against Fnatic yesterday. It feels like Schalke are experiencing the same thing.
Now Origen are just waiting for a pick, because eventually, I think, you know, you take the Dragon in 50 seconds, then you turn your attention back towards the Baron for the next 5 minutes until it spawns again, and that's when I think you look to start it up, you know? You're very strong at this point to the game. You have the deep vision in the enemy jungle required, and you can turn around and you can find a good team fight. Also, if Origen can secure these very deep wards in the enemy jungle, it means that Alphari has options to find the teleport flanks when he is setting up his rage bar. So that's another thing that Origen are going to be very mindful of as we continue towards the game. Now, here's a pet peeve of mine. I honestly think Gilius should be giving that Raptor Camp Forgiven. I think he just did. He gave the big Raptor Forgiven, so that's a good job. At this point, Elise, pretty useless. I'm going to be honest. Her Cocoon is going to do the same amount of damage regardless of how many minions she has. So this is where Gilius needs to be giving more resources over to Forgiven. This is the man that's going to carry you in the late game team fights. Just, you know, funnel it all in there.
I've never heard someone say their Cocoon is going to do the same amount of damage before.
It doesn't change.
An important fun fact. 0 is 0. No matter how many times you multiply it, increase it, it's still 0. There you go. Another Mountain Drake going to go over to the side of OG. Once again, not the most crucial, but as always, kind of a scaling threat. Both the Soul and the Elder Dragon incredibly important. So OG will take the free objectives, and it's bonus soul time. That's 2 more for the Senna. Past the 40 threshold now, so an extra 50 range for Mr. Upset.
Just feels like Upset's playing like, you know, like one of those like cookie clicker games where you just like click everything. It's like, give me a soul, give me a soul, give me a soul.
Everyone else on the map is like, let's fight for vision. Forgiven and Upset are like, ooh, cookie clicker, I unlock enough factories. Those cookies are coming in. It's going to be a great time. And people are like, what's the end game? What's the plan? He's like, I don't know, I'm just clicking.
There's got to be like a minion clicker equivalent, right? You know? You farm minions until you get 4
Don't steal
IEs.
that idea. That's Riot's idea. No? We're going to use that one.
Okay,
no.
that's ours.
Maybe.
I get paid for that, right?
I'm going to get in so much trouble if there's actually a cookie clicker. They're like, how dare you leave that? No. Well, here we are, Ender. Abbedagge waiting in the darkness. Still has the spell shield. Speaking slowly because we're clearly in a lull state. We have to milk this one for time.
So like, here's the thing, right? Like in LCK, they call it a lull state.
Yeah. But it's not funny at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, can we start calling it like the Keck W state or something? Like, that's just the strictly superior emote. Not a fan?
Why must you embody Twitch chat?
Look, I know what they're saying right now. I know what they're saying. See, I played them all. They're sheep. Each and every one of them. They're all doing it.
Wake up, sheeple. Ender doesn't have your best interest at heart.
I'm just an emote farmer.
There you go. Still only a 2K difference. I feel like Origen are firmly in control of this game, but it's only 2K. So like a full 5-on-5 team fight could still go either way, depending on the status on the Mega Gnar. Big Mega Gnar ult, obviously a game changer. But you can see setup here. Dreams. Not going to commit to that one. Actually, still some good damage coming from Gilius.
Oh no, don't bring back the ward cheers.
Look, you have Keck W's. The audience has ward cheers. We all have our ways.
See, I was going to say, maybe we start playing the game where we start counting Upset souls, right? It's like, maybe at this 20th soul, that's when Origen want to fight.
That's my favorite kind of analysis, where you're like, this is what the player's thinking. The player's like, I'm going to farm. And we're like, at this exact moment, he's calculating how he can push the wave. What cannon minion? See, he waited to auto that cannon minion. And that's important because that's going to give him a quarter-second advantage on moving in to the Baron pit.
So you know the big brain thing, right? Is Upset, he's about to hit 6 items, right? He's pretty close. Once he hits 6 items, he stops farming, and then the soul rate goes from like 1.2% to 20%.
That's actually...
That's like... Wait, she just gets so many souls.
Wait, that's actually big brain.
You're supposed to funnel as much possible gold onto her,
yeah, that makes
and it just gets everything.
A ton of sense. Gilius. Ooh, not gonna hit the cocoon. All right, will not connect there. On the snare. Upset, gonna speed up the rest of the team. Alphari now in Mega, sees Dreams in the pinch. That's the slow coming in from the Glacial Augment. But nobody's gonna fight.
I just love the anticipation in your voice. It's like, finally, it's coming.
Guys,
it's coming, guys.
Fighting is bad. as we've learned from Oji and Schalke, world peace is the answer. 2020!
Honestly, this is just... This is what we call AD carry deterrence, right? Both AD carries are so strong, if anyone pushes them, it just explodes.
If we go any deeper down this rabbit hole, someone's gonna get mad. All right, but I agree. Here we are. Alphari doing a lot of damage with traditional split push Gnar build. If you were absent in the seasons, pretty much 2015 when this was really oppressive, it was so hilariously broken that both those items got nerfed.
Kill the ward. No, violence is bad, guys.
The wards, though, that's fine. That's why it's
wards are people too.
No, what? You're really grasping at straws, my friend. Now, coming up, it's Misfits versus Fnatic later in the day.
But it might be a while.
33 minutes in. And the thing is, I don't want to talk like this is not the wrong way to play the game. That's the important thing to understand. This is kind of just the state the game is in. It's slow and steady. And if you're playing the game and you're the Vigar or the Nasus, or in this case the Senna, and you realize that the enemy team can't end, you're going to play for the long game. If it takes us 70 minutes for Upset to get 200 souls and enough range that he can just auto towers from anywhere, he'll do it. Upset is a try-hard through and through.
I literally just witnessed Upset use his Yomu so that he could get to the minion wave faster.
That's what I love.
He also just hit 60 souls, right? So now it's like 80 souls. That's when Origen want to fight.
Yeah, that's a extra 75 range. That's really important.
Yep.
Okay, and so here's the extra ridiculous thing. If you're taking Dark Harvest and solo queue, I respect you, but Glacial Augment is absolutely nuts. This happened. There it is. The LEC is alive with the feeling of true euphoria. Gilius says overstay is welcome. The flash comes over the wall, though. That's the Forgiven alt. Nukeduck now might be in trouble. Braum alt goes in. Nukeduck gets locked up. They can kill Nukeduck. He's invisible, but no, he's managed to dash out. Destiny may have overstayed, though. It does activate the Gargoyle Stoneplate. Is very tanky. Forgiven, no alt to follow up. Odoamne locked on the backside. Upset gonna try to shield him back up. That's a lot of damage coming from Stone. Finishes him off, and that's the 1-for-1. Jungler traded for support. That's an advantage to OG.
That was a 4v5 because Alphari just sat on this Mountain Drake the entire time. Knows there's no one coming.
Duck. That's the lockup, the flash body slam, and an instant everything kicks off. Absolute escalation. Forgiven, flashing forward fiercely. He's untouched for now. Forgiven, though, gonna get locked up. The inevitable CC is there. He manages to zone you just for a brief second, but trying to find the follow-up kill. He cannot do it. Dream's taken down next. Senna and LeBlanc taking over the fight.
Upset was not touched in that fight. So close to the CC going down, but Upset, finally, we waited all game for this, and look at that damage.
9K damage. That is so...
I just did the math.
Okay.
That's more than the entire enemy team combined.
Yeah.
So Gilius gets sniped out by Upset, so good job by the AD carry finding the pick right there. Of course, immediately has to flash over this wall, and that's where Schalke say, I guess we're fighting, because Nukeduck is picked off. But they have no vision over this wall. They can't see Upset. Now Upset with this massive range is just hammering Odo, and then snipe Auto. That's 80% of Gilius' HP bar, and it made that sound exactly. Pew, pew. He picks up a couple souls in the middle of the fight.
You keep talking all day.
There's the rest. You just keep doing it. Pew. And one more.
So small. And this.
So I was actually wondering, Upset could have held his Q right there to heal Xerxe when he popped down out, but then see that? 3 out of the 4 Braum stacks on Upset. Forgiven couldn't finish off the auto attack. Senna just playing right outside of his range. And we've reached the point. 6-item Senna now. It's time to stop farming and pick up every single soul.
Okay, let's talk about this. 6-item Senna. We got a 10-stack Medjai's on Nukeduck. There's a spooky ghost on this Gragas because he is no longer a fan of waiting around and farming. They are going to find people. They are going to catch them. OG total control over the top side. Cocoon will connect. Definitely not the ideal target, but Gilius just trying to chip away. Baron has to be the next objective on the table for the OG lineup, but with the power of the Black Mist, they can just run face first in the enemy team, and that is a lot of damage. Dream's ult going to be wasted there as he tries to defend Forgiven.
Yeah, so Upset has so many different things going for him right now. I mean, obviously, right? But the rapid fire cannon with the bonus range as well as Yomu's means he can close the gap. He can auto you pretty much anywhere, and all it takes is one fat crit like that onto Gilius that can then lead to OG turning around and looking towards the Baron. And as I say that, I realize OG are never going to start the Baron because they haven't started the entire game. They know they outscale, and they're just going to wait for Schalke to make a mistake.
Black Mist comes in, Alphari not going to connect there, but Dream's now in trouble. He's going to be Braum all in the wrong way. Upset now, unstoppable. Snare will not connect. Can we get a soul check? Can we check on the soul?
Yeah, checking the souls.
I think we're probably past
87.
87. That's an extra 100 range.
Oh, we got another one.
Destiny's going to land that hook. There's no way they can win this fight in the pinch, but maybe Forgiven. Maybe enough damage, but Nukeduck on the side is just going to delete Forgiven in an instant. Rail gunned down just like that. Upset. Going to grab another kill. Odoamne can get nothing done. Senna so oppressive in these fights. The setup is there for Nukeduck, and OG going to take another exchange in their favor as this inhibitor tower is just next on the menu.
Look, we've seen it game after game this weekend. Range wins games. OG are just walking at Schalke. Schalke can't hit them back, and they're going down.
Forward shutdown onto Abbedagge. Questionable is 05 how he has a shutdown. I guess he's been farming a lot, but it was a close game. OG coming out just a little bit on top in the early game seems to have spelled disaster now as Dreams just desperately tries to clear the creep wave. The Spooky Ghosts will come in. Upset is going to be able to free fire into the enemy fountain with all this bonus range, and that is going to be a 2-0 start for this OG lineup. They finish off their week 1.
And I really feel like this game in particular taught us a lot about Origen, right? We knew this team was going to be good, but this team is cautious. They are by the books as you can get, right? They never even started up the Baron in that game. They just waited for Schalke to miss position and then abused the range and utility advantages in their composition to make it so they never looked like they were going to lose that game.
And it really, to me, felt a lot like the only time we saw them, early game was early game. You know, we saw, I think, Xerxe path very, very well, kind of mitigate anything Gilius was trying to do. But as we moved into mid-game, this is where it got interesting because it felt like, you know, they weren't ever going to punch. They were just going to put their face really close and hope that you would go for the swing and then hit you the second you did. They were just waiting for that mistake, waiting for that moment. And that moment came in the mid lane, where Gilius got caught out, could flash over the wall, but the team committed, and because they did so, it just blew the game wide open, gave OG the gold lead, the Spooky Ghosts, the 10-stack Medjais, and the 80 souls necessary to take over that game.
Yeah, and don't forget, too, that it was the early game from Origen that allowed them to sort of play it easy in the mid game. You know, they built themselves a little bit of a buffer based off of the early play by Xerxe in the top lane. The way Xerxe and Destiny in particular worked together around the mid lane to make Nukeduck pop off, because Nukeduck got super fed very early on, and that made it very difficult for the side of Schalke to really get much done as we went and the turrets fell.